everyone, it's Michelle from Scrap Secrets, and I just wanted to share with you 2 cards that I made today, and also wanted to give you a little bit of update on the show that I did. So I guess I'll start off with the bad news. We did a show this weekend. There were 4 of us from Etsy, and then we met a couple other people that sold on Etsy at the show, and it was a very poor weekend. It was very poorly attended. There were no signs up and down the road for foot traffic or just people that were going by just to stop by. They also charged admission, which was never listed on the application. So a couple of lessons learned: go see the show before you do it. Always ask if there's an admission fee to the show, because just because it doesn't say in the paper doesn't mean that there isn't one. So lots of lessons learned. I got to meet a lot of great people though. I got some feedback, I got to talk to a bunch of great people, and I got to hang out with some of my friends from Etsy. So it wasn't a total loss, but we also have this show in August, so we're sending the coordinator some suggestions, and hopefully they'll take some of them to heart for the next show, and I do not think we will be doing these shows again next year. So unfortunately it was a bad experience, but I can say that I learned a lot from it. It wasn't that expensive, so I didn't totally lose out. I made $12 the first day, and I sold nothing the second day. However, I did get a custom order after it, and I gave a couple people my card. People were saying that my things were cute, but I think that people were there to really tour the village and not for the craft and antique show. So, oh well, lesson learned. So, now I want to get on to one of the custom orders and the card that I made for my brother-in-law's birthday. So, the girl that I shared the booth with this weekend had texted me after the show and wanted to know if I could do a pet sympathy card for her. I've done 2 dog sympathy cards, so I'm the pet sympathy card lady. So I will be making more of those and putting those up on Etsy. It's really cool. I actually didn't even think that there was a market out there for that, and obviously there is one. So one of their friends' bunnies passed away, so she asked me to make a card that looked like the bunny, and the bunny was white, and it was very unique. It had some brown spots on top of its head. So this is the card that I came up with. It looks very similar to the ones that are on my blog and in my Etsy shop, the dog sympathy cards. So I will show you the Cricut cartridges I used for this and tell you exactly how I made it. So the first thing that I did was I made the bunny, and I used mycutsearch.com to find out what Cricut cartridges had bunny images on it. And this is from the Just Because Cards Cricut cartridge. And the cut is off of page 59, and it's under layer 1, and I used real dial size and cut it out at 4.5 inches. Now, if you notice on the bunny, there are other cuts for the bunny's ears and the back leg of the bunny. However, because I used real dial size, I wasn't sure how to cut the corresponding pieces, because when I cut it with the real dial size on, it cut out huge. The interiors of the ear were larger than the bunny itself. And then if I didn't use the real dial size, then it would cut out teeny tiny, because it would think that the card, which is the main image, that's the one everything is sized to fit on. So it would think the card was cut out at 4.5 inches. So the bunny would be minuscule and the ears wouldn't fit either way. So what I did was, since the lines cut out on it, I just took some Spectrum Noir markers and colored in his ears. It was a flesh tone one and a pink color that I colored the ears and the nose at. Then I used a black gel pen, to draw the whiskers and fill in the eye. And then I used the Antique Linen Tim Holtz Distress marker to make the dots the spots on top of the bunny's head. So that was the bunny. I cut him out at 4.5 inches on real dial, and then I went around the edges of him with I think it's IG1, the Spectrum Noir marker, kind of just to give him a little bit of definition, to make him stand out from the crowd, and also to show that back leg, because this was supposed to be a different color, but because of not being able to coordinate the pieces, I couldn't get that done. And then I used some glitter glue and made a little glittery tail. The next cuts that I did were the 2 clouds, and that was from Create a Critter, the original one. This is what it looks like. And that was from page 65, and I used the shift key and cut out this cloud right here, and I cut the one cloud out, the bottom one, the one that he's sitting on, out at 2 3/4 of an inch, and the top one is at 3/4 of an inch. So those are the two clouds that I cut out, and then I also used the glitter glue. I went around the edges of the cloud just to give it a little bit of definition. And then the last cut that I made was the halo, and I cut that one out of Once Upon a Princess. And this is what this one looks like. And that cut was from page 30, excuse me, page 38. It was the layer shift button, and it's cut out at 3/4 of an inch. And again, I used the glitter glue and went around the edges of the halo, or the inside of the halo, just to kind of give it a little bit of glitter. So I haven't done anything on the inside because the bunny's tail is a little bit wet still, so I didn't want to smear it, so I'm going to wait until it's all dry, and then I have a stamp that I believe says, "Just to let you know I'm thinking of you," on the inside of this. So there's the bunny sympathy card. And then the next card that I made was using one of those Impression Obsession stamps that I got from Simon Says Stamp. And I also used the Happy 3x4 clear stamp set, as well as the coordinating die that goes along with it. So the first thing that I did was I took this Impression Obsession stamp, mounted it to my rocker block, and used 4 different colors of distressing. I put the reds on first, and then I put the blues. So I used Fired Brick and Barn Door for the reds, and then I used Faded Jeans and Chipped Sapphire for the blues. Now these two, if you look at the front, they look almost exactly identical. This one's more of a purplish blue, which is why I chose this blue instead of a lighter blue, because it would blend with the red a little bit better, and it kind of makes almost a purpley color when you look at the background. So I inked up my Impression Obsession stamp, and I cut the background piece to the exact size of the card. So the card is 4 by 5.5 inches, so I cut that out and then stamped this down onto the page. And when you do it, you just go like this, and it applies even pressure to the paper. You can see, you just kind of rock it forward, and it's really, really easy to use. I found this to be a wonderful tool, and I'm excited to use it with all the rest of my big background cling stamps and things like that, because it just makes it so much easier to stamp. So I did that, and this is the background I came up with. I made it the same size as my card because the bottom didn't stamp as well, and I just wanted to make sure that I could cut it down a little bit further. So, because I figured that the edges might not stamp as well as the interior pieces, and I missed a little bit of the bottom. The bottom had a little bit of a white border, so I cut that off, and then I used a blue background piece to put around the edges of it. So this piece actually ended up being, since it's 4 by 5.5, it ended up being 3 3/4 by 4 1/4, and then the blue piece behind it is 1/8 of an inch larger. And then I used that same blue cardstock and cut out the happy with this happy die from Simon Says Stamp. I ran it through my Cuttlebug with an A plate, a B plate, and a C plate. I did need a shim, even though the dies are all from Simon Says Stamp. Some of them are thinner than others, or some of them, they may just not have cut out, I guess, on as thick of a die as some of the other ones. So some I need shims for and some I don't, and this happy one happened to be one that I did need one for, so I just took a scrap piece of paper that I had lying around and just stuck it on top of the C plate and ran it through and went back and forth in the machine a couple times, and the happy cut out very nicely. I think it comes out with a really, really nice, it's very, very thin and very easy to put together, and I haven't had one rip on me yet, so knock on wood. And then I took the birthday from the birthday stamp and inked it up with the chipped sapphire again and just stamped it below the happy, and that's it. I haven't put anything on the inside yet, so that's the card. So here's the two cards that I did. The custom order for the pet sympathy card and the birthday card for my brother-in-law. So, if anybody has any idea on how to do interior pieces for an image that you used a real dial size for, Please let me know, leave a comment, and I would love to be able to hear from you if you guys have any suggestions or any thoughts of how to do it, because I haven't figured it out yet. Maybe I have and I just can't remember how I did it before, and I just wanted to get these projects done because we're having cake for my brother-in-law tonight, so I needed to get everything done. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you have comments, questions, if you want to see any specific techniques or videos, leave